Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have another very interesting and kind of educational, but yet still terrifying and thought-provoking upload to share with you. Before we get into this upload, though, a couple links I'd like to share. As you know, I rely on Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch store to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. They're available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. The links to those audiobooks are also in the description as well. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's upload. Shall we? So, as of late, we have been sharing encounters, looking at animal attacks, different theories. I was looking into something the other day, and I dove a little deep into it afterward. And I ended up contacting a person from the Mormon Church, Latter-day Saints, and talking to them a little bit. They knock at our house every once in a while, and I entertained one just to I was bored and wanted to shoot the shit with somebody one day, and well, I just ended up talking to this person for a while. So I read this article, and then I contacted them and had an odd conversation about this. It turns out that the LDS, or Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, believe that Cain, the son of Adam and Eve, the brother of Abel, the father of Enoch, was a Nephilim, or a Sasquatch. It's really interesting. Christian exegesis of the evil one in 1 John 3:10 through 12 have also led some commentators like Tertullian to agree that Cain was the son of the devil or fallen angel. Thus, according to some interpreters, Cain was half human and half angelic, one of the Nephilim. Then he had his son. God did not permit his opposers to kill Enoch. Instead, God took him, which means cut short his life of the age of 365, an age far below that of most of his contemporaries. Genesis 5:24. Enoch was transferred so as not to see death. Interestingly enough, Enoch, the messenger, his book, the Book of Enoch, is shunned by a lot of different religions. The Jews, the Christians, Catholics, not Christians, Catholics. Is filled with very interesting information. The Watchers, a lot of very stories of the Nephilim. But what's interesting as well is Enoch and his life. 365 years old. There's 365 days in a year. Is there any correlation? It's kind of thought-provoking, don't you think? This article is very interesting that I'm going to share with you next. And kind of blew my mind. As recently as 1969, Latter-day Saints apostle and soon-to-be prophet of the Latter-day Saints Church, Spencer W. Kimball, relied on an instructive story of Cain, who was cursed to be a fugitive and a vagabond, as a cautionary tale of the negative consequences of sin. Kimball expanded the traditional biblical narrative in his orthodox work, Miracle of Forgiveness, by relying on the experience of David W. Patton, the original member of the restored quorum of the 12 apostles, ordained to be that position by the 3 witnesses to the Book of Mormon, who claimed to have met Cain before Patton's death as a martyr at the Battle of Crooked Creek in 1838. He relayed as follows, which excerpt was quoted in full by Kimball. As I was riding along the road on my mule, I suddenly noticed a very strange personage walking beside me. His head was about even with my shoulders as I sat in my saddle. He wore no clothing, but was covered with hair. His skin was very dark. I asked him where he dwelt, and he replied that he had no home, that he was a wanderer in the earth and traveled to and fro. He said that he was a very miserable creature, that he had earnestly sought death during his sojourn upon the earth, but that he could not die, and his mission was to destroy the souls of men. I rebuked him in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, and by virtue of the holy priesthood, and commanded him to go hence, and he immediately departed out of my sight. The reoccurring myth of the wandering Cain also was accepted by Eliza R. Snow, a Relief Society president, and wife of Prophet Joseph Smith and Brigham Young, who relayed Patton's story in verse. Additionally, Prophet Joseph Fielding Smith identified a menacing creature that attacked his brother, E. Wesley Smith, as Cain. Wesley Smith's alleged encounter with Cain occurred the evening before the Lei Hawaii Temple was dedicated in 1921, while Smith was serving as the president of the Hawaii Mission. The repeated encounters by the Latter-day Saint leadership with the wandering Cain included a modern retelling of Patton's story by Kimball, has spurred the common belief in the LDS folklore that Cain is, in fact, a crypto creature known as Bigfoot. Despite a heated debate as the orthodoxy of Cain is Bigfoot mythology, there continue to be many reported Bigfoot sightings in Utah every year, and the Latter-day Saint folklore persists. So now I continue to research and read more articles regarding the concept that the Latter-day Saints or Mormons believe that Cain is a Sasquatch. There's just a lot of very strange things that kind of point to some truth to me. I mean, I don't know. Let me just keep sharing with you what I've read, and you guys can decide on your own. There are, however, accounts of Cain appearing to apostles, missionaries, bishops, and even the brother of President Joseph Fielding Smith. Perhaps the most well-known story is of the apostle David W. Patton's alleged encounter with Cain in 1835, according to the account found in the life of David W. Patton, the first apostolic martyr. Patton was on his way to Abraham O. Smoot's house when he encountered a very unusual individual. I suddenly noticed a very strange personage walking beside me for about 2 miles. His head was about even with my shoulders as I sat in my saddle. He wore no clothing, but was covered in hair. His skin was dark. He said that he had no home, that he was a wanderer of the earth. He said that he was a very miserable creature and that he earnestly sought death, but that he could not die, and his mission was to destroy the souls of men. In the account, Patton says the stranger introduced himself as Cain, who murdered Abel. In order to get him to leave, Patton says he rebuked him in the name of the Lord, Jesus Christ, and by virtue of the holy priesthood, and commanded him to go hence, and he immediately departed out of my sight. While this story has definitely made its rounds among the Mormons, there is another story that may not be as well known. Wesley Smith, the son of Prophet Joseph F. Smith, was serving as a mission president in Hawaii when he had his own encounter. The night before the Lei Hawaii Temple was dedicated in 1921, Wesley experienced the following events. A man came through the door. He was tall enough to have to stoop to enter. His eyes were very protruding and rather wild-looking. His fingernails were thick and long. He presented a rather unkempt appearance and wore no clothing at all. There suddenly appeared in Smith's right hand a light, which had the size and appearance of a dagger. A voice said, "This is your priesthood." He commanded the person in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ to depart. Immediately when the light appeared, the person stopped, and on being commanded to leave, he backed out of the door. Thoroughly disturbed by the encounter, Wesley wrote to his brother, the then apostle Joseph Fielding Smith, about his experience. Joseph Fielding Smith wrote to his brother that the strange visitor was Cain, whose curse is to roam the earth seeking whom he may destroy. Joseph Fielding Smith went on to say that there was always unusual evidence for a period just prior to the dedication of every temple, and Cain was representative of the spirit of the adversary. Now, according to the Mormons, Cain, the son of Adam and Eve, apparently had quite a different record in the spirit world. He was likely one of the valiant ones there, and thus born into this world under the most favorable circumstances of noble sire and mother, and was even privileged to walk and talk with God. Yet Cain fell to the temptations of Satan, rejected by God, murdered his brother Abel, and thus brought upon himself a curse. I'm not really sure if I agree with that piece. I'm almost wondering, and this is just a thought, I'm no religious scholar. I was brought up Roman Catholic, but believed in my Native American spiritual side as well, actually more so. In the Native religion, more than Roman Catholic, but going to church school and being confirmed and yada yada, I've learned a little bit. But I'm almost wondering if the story that we know is wrong. So I'm wondering possibly if Abel was Adam's child. Quite possibly there was temptation or trickery by Satan, and maybe there was a false Adam, which actually could have been the devil or Satan, and then became Cain. Leaving, yes, Cain and Abel brothers, but with different fathers. After Abel's death, of course, then came Seth. Seth died by being bit by a wild beast. There's no mention of what that wild beast is. Could it have been Dogman? Could it have been Sasquatch? Could it have been his brother Cain? I'm not really sure. It's really thought-provoking. It's very interesting. But I do know that the Mormons are not the only ones who believe in cryptids. The Jehovah's Witnesses actually have in their main church, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know what they're called in other religions, but there is a door, a huge wooden door with a dogman, or if you want to call it a werewolf, whatever, dogman, I call them, is on this huge wooden door. So I've talked to a few people about the Jehovah's Witness cult, I guess. And yeah, they believe in something like that, some sort of dogman creation. That's why they have it on their door. So I think that, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, if you are a Jehovah's Witness or if you are a Mormon or what. I'm almost wondering if these organizations are a product of something other than God. And therefore they know about these Nephilim creatures, the Raphalim, which is the children of the Nephilim, which would be Sasquatch. I do know that because the Nephilim are the children of the fallen angels with the woman of earth. Then, of course, the Nephilim had children themselves, which became the Raphalim. I've talked to a few different people that have different names for them, but that is the name that I've always heard used. Having a religious view towards cryptids kind of makes it more real to me. You know, I mean, you've got governments and religion and this and that all believing in these things, but yet they tell us that they're not real. It's very strange. All right, I'm about done here. Still burning up. Have not felt good for the last 3 days. My head is pounding, and I apologize for a short upload, but I just wanted to share with you a little bit of this interesting information I kicked across. Actually, my good friend Lon from Phantom and Monsters had a post on his Phantom and Monsters page in regards to this, and that's what kind of got me thinking about checking it out. And that's when I found some of these articles after reading what was in his blog post. And Lon's a hell of a great guy. I've had him on the show. Very intelligent. I'm a member of one of his his cryptid research team. But yeah, it just kind of makes it a little more real when religion and government believe in these things but don't want to admit it. Alright, have a great day, guys. With that, I'm going to bid you farewell, and see ya!